When a girl goes through puberty, she gets the talk, but there's really no talk for menopausal women until now. Our next guest is a journalist who did the work so you don't have to, from writing health columns for the New York Times to reporting for Rolling Stone, along with countless other health outlets for the past 2 decades. Please welcome Jancee Dunn.
Hello, thank you for having me, and thank you for covering this subject. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much for being here. So you wrote Hot and Bothered about your menopause journey, but what got you so hot and bothered that you had to write a book about it?
Because I've been writing about health for 20 years, and I was completely clueless when symptoms showed up for me. I just couldn't believe how little I knew. There are 34 symptoms at least of menopause, and if you don't know the symptoms, then when a cluster of them shows up, you don't know how to get treated. And not only that, not only did I not know the symptoms, perimenopause, peri means around, so it's the years leading up to perimenopause, most often occurs in a woman's 40s. And so I started getting symptoms like I had a racing heart, which is one of the symptoms. I ran to a cardiologist. I just didn't put it together. At the time, I had a toddler. So I was taking my toddler to birthday parties at bouncy castles. I wasn't thinking that I was in perimenopause. You know, that was for older ladies. That was for, people from the Golden Girls. So the fact that I didn't know the symptoms, and I'm a health journalist, and then I didn't know when they occurred, meant that I wasted a lot of time and anguish wondering what was wrong with me.
There are so many open secrets when it comes to women's issues in general, but this is definitely one. It's inevitable. So I'm glad that you really felt that calling. What's something that would have changed your entire experience if you knew earlier?
Do you know what I wish I had done? I wish I had been open about it. One of my messages is that we have to normalize this very normal life transition that happens to half the Earth's population. And I never had a single conversation with my mother about it. And she suffered in silence. And I don't want our generation and the generations below us to suffer in silence either. And so I didn't talk to my mom about it until I started writing this book, which is also useful medical information to have. I always tell people, if your mother's still living, ask her when she first started getting hot flashes. This is good stuff for your doctor to know, or an older or female relative. I also didn't tell my husband, which was kind of silly, because why am I, furthering this stigma around menopause? He's getting older too, and he could have helped me when I started getting symptoms. And I also didn't talk to my daughter about it. She's 14. Now I talk to her too much about it. She's always rolling her eyes, but that's what I want. Yeah. I want it to be like a normal thing. So when she gets it years from now, she can just kind of shrug and say, well, menopause is here. And there's no shock, there's no surprise, and she'll have the information.
You literally took the question out of my mouth. I'm taking my daughter to an NYU feeder program tomorrow. And I was like, well, she's 16 now. I was like, well, when do I start talking to her about this? And you just said your daughter's 14. Doing the show, I've learned so many things about women's issues as somebody that studied biology in college and grad school that I didn't know. I didn't know anything. And it's amazing that we've gone so far without discussing this, so I appreciate what you're doing. And I also appreciate that you don't shy away from taboo topics. What's the most controversial part of your book, maybe the part of your book that you've gotten the most pushback from?
Definitely menopausal hormone therapy, MHT, they call it. And I know it's controversial. I know a lot of women shy away from it. And all I do is lay out the facts about it so that you can make a decision. My only message is I'm not a doctor, so I'm not pro or con any way. I just want to urge women to go see their doctor and discuss all the options that are available, because there are treatments for almost everything. I mean, you just have to know what your symptoms are, right? And you have to know that perimenopause, when it occurs, and that there are treatments.
I can't wait to dive into this book, because I feel like I might be experiencing perimenopausal symptoms, and I'll be with my mom all next week. I can't wait to have these conversations with her, so I thank you. Because you just brought up doctors, I know you interviewed lots of medical professionals for this book. What did you learn from them? And we have a minute left.
Okay, the main things are to protect your sleep. Sleep is a pillar of health. So anything that you're doing to sabotage your sleep, whether it's I put blackout shades in my bedroom. I had made my cat stop sleeping on my neck. Sometimes my husband would snore and I would say, "Can you please sleep in a spare room?" Protect your sleep at all costs. And also, if your hot flashes are making you miserable at night, there are treatments for them because they can ruin your sleep. And also to view this transition as a way to assess your health. Like, what are you going to do for the next chapter of your life? You've been taking care of other people, maybe elderly parents, maybe, kids. Now's the time to focus on your health and make it as good as it can be for the next, hopefully, couple of decades.
Incredible
it's opportunity.
advice. It's opportunity. Thank you so much. This shouldn't be taboo. I'm so glad that you have this book. D-Mail Nation, please make sure to pick up a copy of Hot and Bothered, What Nobody Tells You About Menopause and How to Feel Like Yourself Again, through janceedunn.net or by scanning the on-screen QR code. Thank you so much, Jancee. We really appreciate you. We'll be right back. Thank you.